Hello friends, today we are going to continue chapter number 8 Natural Resources, lecture 15. Friends, in the previous lectures we discussed about the importance of soil, we discussed about different types of soil, we also learned about the soil formation, we learned about different characteristics of different types of soil, we discussed about the different minerals and biotic elements that are present in different types of soil. We learned how the climate plays an important role in the formation of this soil, in the formation duration. We also learned that time decides the maturity of the soil. Friends, we discussed a lot about this soil formation, about this importance of soil. As we discussed that all our activities are land based and soil is very important for the survival of human beings. Friends, today we are going to discuss about the topic after discussing in the previous lecture that we discussed about soil erosion and the prevention remedies that we need to take. We discussed in the previous lecture about soil erosion, that soil erosion refers to the prevention. We discussed about soil conservation. Soil conservation refers to the prevention of soil erosion. Before that we discussed about soil erosion. What is soil erosion? Whenever the topmost layer of the earth, that is soil, that is decayed due to these natural elements like heavy rain, wind, due to that, when this gets spoiled up, this is called soil erosion. Friends, we discussed about the soil conservation as well, that what is soil conservation? Soil conservation, in that we discussed the steps that is taken for the prevention of soil erosion, that is soil conservation. And we looked at the steps for this soil conservation, that more and more trees should be grown, horizontal and terrace farming should be done in the slopy areas, a series of trees should be planted in the desert region to stop advancing the desert as well as this soil erosion. We discussed about how the trees hold this soil particles for a longer time. So friends, these were some of the remedies for the prevention of this soil erosion. Today we are going to discuss about the topic, that is factors that are responsible for this soil erosion. Factors responsible for soil erosion. Friends, right now we are going to discuss on the factors that are responsible for soil erosion. Through which factors, through which reason this soil gets eroded. So, let us discuss about the factors that are responsible for this soil erosion. Friends, here it is said, first is heavy rain and heavy wind. Damages the soil and the upper layer of soil. Friends, here as we are discussing the factors responsible for soil erosion, first factor, that is heavy rain and heavy wind, that damages the soil and the upper layer of the soil. Friends, when we are discussing about this thing, we discussed in the previous lecture as well that it is due to this kind of natural factor. When we are discussing about the soil erosion, we discussed that due to heavy rain or heavy air, that we can say wind, due to that the soil is eroded. These two factors are responsible for soil erosion. So the important factor, one of the most important factor, that is heavy rain, because as you know, if you want to see practically, then you can look at some ground or somewhere. You will see if you put some water from a height, and if the excessive water is put in the soil, is dropped into the soil, then you will see the soil will drain away. Most of the soil will drain away. In the same way, if heavy wind is blown, if you put any fan near the soil, you will see that when the wind blows from the fan, what happens? The soil that is present in front of the fan, right? That soil that blows away, right? That is transferred from one place to another. As we discussed when we were discussing about the soil erosion, that when this material is transferred from one place to another due to heavy rain or air, that is called soil erosion. So this first factor, that is heavy rain and heavy wind, that damages the soil and the upper layer of the soil. Then in dry regions, that is, we can say, the desert regions, due to excessive and continuous heavy wind, damages the top portion of clay and sand, due to which soil is damaged. Friends, another reason is in dry region, especially if we say in the arid region, that is in the desert region, due to the excessive and continuous heavy wind, damages is done. That damages the top portion of clay and sand, due to which soil is damaged. On the top portion, the clay and sand that is available, then it damages it, due to which the topmost portion of the soil is damaged. This is one more important factor, due to which we can say that the soil can be eroded. So the first factor was heavy rain and heavy wind. The another factor that we can see is in dry region, that is the desert region especially, is the desert region due to excessive and continuous heavy wind that damages the top portion of, that is the clay and sand, due to which the soil is eroded. Friends, now coming towards the third point, that is farms not surrounded with borders and not secured gets eroded very soon. Friends, here it is said, the farms that are not surrounded with borders, that are not surrounded, that are not covered, that are not secure, we can say, that gets eroded very soon. Because as borders are not there, right, lots of damage can happen to that particular farm. In farm, the soil damages very soon if it is not secured, if the borders are not made. So another important point, that is farm that are not surrounded with borders and not secured gets eroded very soon. Another point is that the region having very less trees, in that the region having very less trees are responsible for soil erosion. Again friends, the region having very less trees means the areas where the trees are very less. So that areas, the soil of that areas also gets eroded very soon, because as we learned in the previous lecture that these roots of the soil trees, they holds the soil fertility for a long time, and due to that reason when the trees holds the soil fertility for a long time and that stops the soil erosion. But here the region that is having very less trees, due to which the soil particles are not holding, and due to that this soil can be easily damaged by heavy air, rain. So due to this reason the damage is caused to the soil. Another point is the areas maximum damage to soil is done in the areas of heavy rainfall. Here it is said maximum damage to the soil is done in the areas that is heavy rainfall. The region having very much rainfall, in that the soil is eroded. For example, in Cherrapunji we can see the maximum rain. The proposal of the soil erosion can also be seen more in Cherrapunji. So here it is said the area having the area that is receiving maximum rainfall, the maximum damage is seen to the soil in that particular area. So friends, these are some of the factors that are responsible for the soil erosion. As we discussed previously also, that soil plays a very important role for the survival of you. It is very important for the vegetation, right? As it for agriculture and vegetation, this soil plays an important role in the cultivation of proper crops, proper production, and proper quantity and quality can also be maintained in farming through this soil only. So friend, to preserve this soil, to conserve this soil, it becomes very important for the entire mankind. If this soil is eroded in the present condition as it is, then it will surely harm in the future. So it becomes a moral duty of each and every citizen along with the government that we will take care of the soil and stop the soil erosion. And for that purpose, what we have to do, we need to understand these factors, that through which factors the soil is eroded, and we need to plan, we need to take necessary steps so that we can stop this soil erosion. So friends, today after completing this topic, we have completed the chapter natural resources. So as we have completed this chapter natural resources, let us quickly overview of what we learned in the entire chapter. Let us quickly make an overview so that we can understand about the combination of all the lectures. Friends, we started with the very first lecture with the meaning and the understanding of natural resources. In that we understood that whatever that is grown naturally without human participation is called natural, and the resource is anything that comes in our use or fulfills our need is called a resource. Friends, after that we discussed about the uses of resources. In the uses of resources, we discussed about the uses of resource as a food resource, uses of resource as a source of raw material, from where we get the raw material, we can say the source of raw material. The use of resource as energy, from where we get the energy, it is one of the important source. Then we learned about different types of resources. That is, we learned about biotic, abiotic resources. Biotic means living resources, abiotic means non-living resources. Then we also discussed about the classification of resources. We learned about the classification of resources. It was classified in 3 types. Classification on the basis of ownership, in which we learned about 3 types of ownership: individual ownership, then national ownership, and third was global ownership. Then we discussed about classification on the basis of distribution. Again, in that we discussed about 4 different type of classification on the basis of distribution: universal resource, rare available resource, then easily available resource, and last was solitary resource. Then we discussed about classification on the basis of re-availability, that is renewable and non-renewable resources. The resources that can be available used easily and that we can utilize once it is used, that is renewable resources. Example, solar energy, wind energy, right? That all thing is called as renewable resources. Then non-renewable resources, that is resources that once utilized gets destroyed and it's not available easily, that is non-renewable resources. Friends, these are some of the resources that is available. These resources are available in very less proportion, so we need to preserve it. Then we learned about the planning and conservation of resources. What are the steps, why these resources are important for us, and why we need to plan for it. Then we learned about a systematic planning, that first of all a list should be made of available resources, utilized, unutilized resources. Then we learned about how these resources should be divided into renewable, non-renewable resources, how the non-renewable resources should be planned, how renewable resources should be planned, even attempts should be made for the easily available resources. Laws should be framed to protect these resources, it should be strictly implemented, then public awareness should be created. So this was all the planning about the conservation of resources. Friends, then we discussed about soil and its formation. We learned about the definition of soil. The topmost layer of the soil is called, the uppermost layer of the earth crust is called soil, and its formation. We learned that soil is formed through the denudation of the rocks, of the parental rock. Parental rock is the rock from which the soil is formed, right? There are different types of rocks in the different regions from which this soil is formed. So the parental rock, we learned about the parental rock. Denudation takes place of this parental rock due to the natural elements like temperature, rain, heat, insects, and due to this denudation, this parental rock is converted into fine granules. After that, natural elements, factors like air, water is mixed in it, which makes soil. We learned that it takes a long time, more than hundreds of years or thousands of years, for this soil to be formed. It is not formed in a very short period. Then the climate plays a very important role in the duration as well. Different region of different climate has the different duration of the formation of the soil. Time decides the maturity of the soil. So we discussed about all these things. Then we learned about the conservation. We learned about the soil erosion first. That what is soil erosion? Whenever the land particle is transferred from one place to another due to heavy rain, wind, then it is called soil erosion. And this soil erosion is very harmful for the soil and the fertility as well. This harms the farming. Then we learned about the step. We also learned about steps how to conserve it. We learned about different types of soil. ICAR, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, divided the soils into 8 parts. Then we discuss about all the types of soil in detail. Then we discuss about all the 8 types of soil: alluvial soil, Martian peaty soil, red soil, mountain soil, forest soil, laterite soil. We discussed about all this soil in detail. Then we learned about the soil erosion and its conservation, and today we discuss about these factors responsible for soil erosion. So friends, you might have understood about the whole chapter natural resources. Thank you.